Hey everybody, this is Kramer from Kramer's Unstuck, and I'm here today to talk about this upcoming peace plan that Trump and his administration have concerning Israel with Israel. And I just want to go into some biblical passages and uh, show you why it doesn't matter what but people are saying how good it is and how great it is. This is wrong, 100%. I like Trump and things that he's done, but this here is nothing more than a bonehead move. Israel was given a land by God. I'm going to show you, I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you uh, the land that God gave Israel. Okay? Well, all right. No, that ain't it. Okay, well, I see that for some reason it got rid of that, but I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find it again. I don't know about the rest of you, but do your computers make you want to? There we go. This is what I wanted. I don't recall getting rid of that, but I'm going to just show this. Okay, right here. Okay, let me get out of there. We got a little bit of a. Yeah. Always got to have problems. Always. I think the devil don't like stuff like this. So what he does is he goes ahead and tries to mess things up. Maybe. Here we have Israel, okay? Let's move this up. Okay. This is actually what God had given Israel. Okay? Here's Egypt. Red Sea. Okay? There's Alexandria. There's Cairo. Half of Cairo, well, actually three-quarters of Cairo is in what God gave Israel. You go over here, Iraq's split in half. There's Baghdad, okay? Up here is Syria. There's Damascus. There's Jordan. All of this, all the way up into Turkey. This right here is what God gave Israel. All right? Now let's go over here. This is Israel. Right here. This. Okay, Egypt comes up around. If you take a look back here, okay, this is right where the border is right now. Right here. All right? This is what they want to give to the Palestinians. Okay? There's even going to be a West Bank Gaza tunnel. So I look at it this way. This right here, they should put in green too. Okay? You gave them all of this right here. Just make all of this green because they're going to be hanging around here too. The Palestinian people don't exist. There is no such thing as Palestinian people. All right? Man goes about his own way. There's a way in Proverbs it says there is a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof is death. They've been twisting it. They've been chopping them up, and God is not happy with this. God has not been happy with this, but He's patient, and I think man thinks that when God don't do anything right away, that means that everything's good. Well, if you're a Christian, listen to this, and you say strayed, backslid, you know that God don't do anything right away. But eventually, you're going to start to feel it. And then you get in line or it gets worse. Our God loves us. Now, the world, however, and people will say, well, Trump's a Christian. I don't think Trump's a Christian, okay? But the world, wants their way. The world wants control of Israel. And one of the reasons that the world wants control of Israel, let's go over here into Genesis, is this. All right? Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Okay? The serpent, Satan, the devil, he hates Israel with a passion. Israel is the first on that list of hate. Okay? He hates them, and what he needs to do is destroy them. Okay? And by chopping them up, and keep chopping them up, eventually this will not be Israel anymore. That's Satan's plan. Okay? But let's go into Genesis here. Genesis 17. All right? And he talks about, this is Abraham. We'll start at verse 7 here. All right? Let's start at verse 7. All right? And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. This is what God gave them. All right? Let's go into Exodus. Okay? This is talking now about the peoples around them. Okay? He says, thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. Okay? And we'll just use Allah. Okay? We'll use whatever gods, like I said, Trump, I don't know if Trump's a Christian. I doubt it. So if you're not a Christian, doesn't matter how much you talk about Jesus or God or whatever, your God is the devil. Okay? They're not supposed to make any covenant with them nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. And if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. All right? Let's go into Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 7:2. Okay? And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. That was God's commandment to them. They were supposed to destroy all the people. And it wasn't because God was a mean, sadistic, masochistic murderer. It was because these people were evil. They would murder babies. They would have a god named Molech. And this god, they would have, it would be a furnace. And they heat this furnace up. And the god had the palms of his hands outstretched. And he'd be like he was holding something. And they would put the babies, okay, in the palms of this beast's hand, and they would be broiled and baked to death. And then the priests would jump around and make all kinds of noise. So the families who were already, if they weren't completely taken over by this and fine with it, I mean, I can't see how you can get to the point where you reprobate that you don't care about anything. But I'm sure the mothers at least were sad about this. So, so they wouldn't, the priests would jump around and make all kinds of noise, beating drums and everything and howling, and so they wouldn't hear the baby crying. Okay? But it says you're supposed to utterly destroy them, and you're shown to make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Now, I'm not advocating murdering the Palestinians or the Arabs, but this is what God said back then about them people. But this whole make no covenant with them, okay, still goes. That land is God's. Okay, let's go to Leviticus. God, like I said, we have the devil who is the Lord of this world. And his goal is to get rid of Israel. Okay, it's like I said, I don't know if I said this before, but when it comes to hatred for a people, Jews are number one. Christians, born again Christians, are 1A. We're right up there. So, but if he can, I heard this once before, maybe you did too. If the devil gets to Israel and destroys them, wipes them out, then that's a check. Then he can check God. But as Christians, we know that that's never going to happen. Okay? All right. Okay, let's go. Now I have the whole thing here. Now God's talking to the children of Israel and telling them to keep the statutes, okay, to keep his judgments, do them, and you shall dwell in the land safely. Okay? This land. All right? Okay. And he's given them, you do that and everything will be great. Okay? I'll bless you. I'll be with you. I'll help you. 23. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. For ye are strangers and sojourners with me. And now, while I'm talking here, I just remembered, and I don't know where, I'm not even going to try to find it. Israel, when they went back in the land, I think this was 1948 or 1949, they had to pay. And when they paid a lot more than what they needed to be. So these people, because Israel rejected their Messiah, and Israel turned from God, they had to buy back the little bit that they have right now, okay? The little bit that they have right now, okay? I mean, this is ridiculous. And one of the main reasons that they're in this, like I said, they did not follow God. They did not obey him. Okay? Judges 1:19. We'll talk about now the fact that God told them, okay, that if they do not drive the inhabitants out, they will suffer. And here you have this, okay, in Judges 1:19. And the Lord was with Judah, and he drave out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley because they had chariots of iron. Well, I guess chariots of iron to some people, atheists or these who want to, spit on the Bible and the truth of the Bible, says, well, this God couldn't even do it because he had chariots of iron. What kind of a God is he? Well, in Judges, 2:3, he said, okay, wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your side, and their gods shall be as a snare unto you. Well, right now, what do you have? The Palestinians have been, or the peoples that are called the Palestinians, have been a thorn in their side. Their God is Allah. It's a snare. Okay. All right. And here it is in Numbers 33:55. Okay. But if you will not drive out, there you go. But if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come to pass that those which ye let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your side, and shall vex you in the land wherein ye dwell. Okay. And one thing I should probably bring up here is Abraham and Sarah, and Abraham having relations with Hagar, his slave, because that sin also, that brought a snare that right now, okay, all the inhabitants of the land, some of them were destroyed back then with the Canaanites, but others stayed there. And then you had Ishmael's people start inhabiting the land and believing in other gods and stuff. And the same thing happened with the Assyrians, the Persians, the Babylonians, and those who took Israel away. And the Israel would serve their gods, and they'd be going into slavery and coming back home and going into slavery. So it's been a really bad time for Israel. Okay. Now, okay, well, we already went over the serpent, how he was more subtle than any beast of the field, how he is deceiving people. He's deceiving Trump. He's deceiving Israel. He's deceiving the Arab nations. And the Arab nations, I saw that some of the Arab nations like this. The Palestinians don't, because the Palestinian, quote unquote, Palestinian people and the Arabs, okay, want all of Israel. They want to destroy Israel because Satan is pushing them into this. Okay? Now, I'm not sure which one this is. I think it is First Chronicles. Is it? Okay. Okay, because take a look in First Chronicles 21 here. Okay? David numbered Israel. But who stood up against Israel? Satan. He provoked him because he knew that if he did that, this would happen. Okay, Gad the seer came and said unto David, thus saith the Lord, choose ye. Okay? Either 3 years famine or 3 months to be destroyed before thy foes, while that the sword of thine enemies overtaketh thee, or else 3 days of the sword of the Lord, even the pestilence in the land, and the angel of the Lord destroying throughout the coasts. Oh, for crying out loud, will you get up? Coasts of Israel. Now therefore advise thyself, what word shall I bring again to him that sent me? And Satan knew this. And he keeps provoking Israel. Even nowadays, he keeps provoking them. He'll provoke them. He'll provoke the enemies to cause trouble. And it just gets worse and worse. But here's what's awesome. One of these days, God will deal personally with Israel. He'll deal with the world too, but he will deal personally with Israel. Well, he will judge them, and he will save a remnant out of Israel. Okay, which is awesome. And then we will go into a millennial kingdom where the land will be theirs, 100%, all of it. But he will deal with their enemies during that. Okay, the enemies. And here in Joel 3:2, he will deal with these people who want to control and create covenants and do all that nonsense. In Joel 3:2, it says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. He will judge them. and destroy them. So, let's go back to the map. One day this here will be back in Israel's hand, okay? A saved remnant will come out of Israel, okay? There will be, and there's the thing, for I don't know how long, we will have both Jews and Gentiles that are saved. So for a period of time, you're going to have just saved people. You're going to have the glorified church, the glorified saints, and the elders, and it's going to be wonderful. That will be 1,000 years of peace, because Satan will be put in that pit. God will have defeated the enemies, his enemies. Okay, they're Israel's enemies, but when it comes down to it, they're his enemies. And Israel will have this land back. This will be their land. We will be over there. We will be dwelling there. Okay? And this nonsense here will be gone. So, I hope that as Christians, you understand that all these covenants, you might say, oh, great, they're having a covenant. Yeah, all of these covenants are going to end up one day with one covenant that will come up. And maybe this will be the one. I don't know. But the Antichrist will confirm a covenant for 7 years. Now, I don't know if he's going to, like I said, maybe this will be a new covenant that he confirms, but he's confirming a covenant, which seems like it might be an old covenant. Maybe this will be the one, but I don't know. But that's going to lead to all of these people and the devil who wants to destroy Israel and keep them out of their land. It's not going to happen. God gave them that land, and he's going to give it back to them once they accept the fact that Jesus is their Messiah. And, that will happen. So I just want to tell you, Christian, don't go with hype here. Don't listen. If you got preachers who are telling you this is a great thing, maybe what you ought to do is go find another preacher, because this is not a good thing. Okay? These men are 100% wrong. God gave that land to Israel, all of that land that I showed you. That's what covenant, if they want to do a covenant, let them do that covenant. The Arabs won't go along with that. And here's the thing. I heard, too, that they use some obscure passage from the Quran, and where they're going to move back and they're going to be able to, go to their mosque and they're going to worship. And that's crazy. There's more in the Bible about God giving that land and how Israel has that land and it's their land than one little obscure passage in the Quran. But that's how pathetic these leaders are. We got to be nice, okay? We got to make sure these people don't get angry. What about God? God's angry. Those people's anger don't mean anything. They can throw stuff at you. They can try to do terrorist attacks. One day when God decides to put the hammer down, you're going to wish you gave in to him. So, Christian, I'm praying against this. And I'm praying for the day coming that when God sets everything right. And I just pray, Christian, that you do that too. And until the next time that we meet and talk, I pray that this was a blessing. I pray that, if you don't have maybe I'm running over this too much, but, make the right decision here. Pray about it if you have doubts. And let the Lord guide and lead, and he will. So until next time, This is Kramer Unstuck.